My name is Stephanie Cooper. I'm the Deputy Commissioner for Policy and Planning, and I'm pleased to welcome you to our second stakeholder meeting to guide MassDEP's development of a drinking water standard for PFAS. We met in April, and it has been a whirlwind couple of months, I'm sure for many or all of us, but certainly on this issue, we continue to spend a tremendous amount of time on it. So my role here is to welcome you, as I am doing, and to speak louder. Yes, okay. I will be speaking louder now. Can everyone hear me? Okay, good. I am going to give you some brief updates and walk you through the agenda, and then I will, we'll take the program from there. I want to recognize Senator Jamie Eldridge, who has joined us here for today's meeting, and thank him for all the work that he has done on this issue, supporting several communities and water supplies in his district that have had PFAS detections. Last night at a meeting in Harvard, and then here it is today, so we really, really appreciate all your advocacy and support. So, I'm going to go straight to this. So today's agenda, we're going to go through that, and you've all seen the agenda, I hope. We believe we've put together a good, set of topics that advances our work on the MCL and the guidance and input that we're looking for from all of you. We've also picked up on a couple of threads of the discussion from the last meeting, so we think that we've made time for the various issues that are of interest that people want to discuss. So like I said, I will be giving you sort of just catching you up from what we've been mainly working on since last time. I'm going to turn the program over to Assistant Commissioner Paul Locke and our Director of the Office of Research and Standards, Mark Smith. As you will recall, when we met last time, the department was about to file our draft regulations updating our hazardous waste cleanup regulations, which is a wholesale set of updates, but included in that is a proposed groundwater cleanup standard for PFAS. So since that draft is now out on the streets, and we're sort of in the middle of the public process, so we're going to tell you a lot about that, sort of the underpinnings for it, the types of feedback that we're receiving so far, and then dive deeper into what is the groundwater standard proposal based on. Then Damon is going to lead us through a discussion about various aspects of the MCL, various components, and you should all receive sort of guiding questions to sort of really delve into and focus on some aspects that we hope to really get some good feedback on and sort of flesh out today. And then Doug is going to lead us through a discussion about a treatment technique approach, which is something that we know that certain parties are interested in the department pursuing further. It was part of the petition that we responded to in January. We touched on it a little bit last time, but we wanted to be sure we had more time to talk about it today, so we've allowed time for that. And then we will do next steps and just wrap up and figure out where do we go from here. So that is our plan. As you all know, we are live streaming the proceedings, so there are people who are able to at least observe the proceedings today, and then afterwards, our practice, you may be aware, is to post the video of the meeting on the website so that people can review it after the fact. And you may have noticed that our meeting from April is posted there, so that's what we've been doing after the fact. I knew there was something big that I wanted to say, and what it is a staffing announcement that I wanted to make because it's relevant to this discussion. Many of you have gotten to know our Assistant Commissioner for Water Resources, Doug Fine, and spoiler alert, he is not going far, but I do want to let people know that he is transitioning within the department to take on another really important role overseeing our air and waste work in our central region, working out of Worcester. So as of this week, he'll be transitioning out of his water resources in Boston role into an air and waste role in Worcester. So this is the last time that you'll see him in this capacity at this meeting. And we will soon have a new Assistant Commissioner for Water Resources to introduce you to, and we will have that announcement to make soon, but not today. So we did just want you to know about that change. So, and also we really want to thank and recognize Doug for all of his work on PFAS certainly, but on a whole range of issues. And so we're glad that he's continuing to serve the department in this important role. So with that, it's a little bit harder balancing with the microphone. I bet. Just in the category of sort of catching you up, some of you may have seen this map. I believe we showed it last time. It's on our website, and we continue to refine it. A, to keep it updated if there are new PFAS detections, and B, to make the information sort of more clear and more granular. And I would just say sometimes I feel with GIS, the capabilities are so robust that you can sort of keep on refining it to a point that sometimes you don't recognize it. But, hopefully we have not done that in this instance, but there's the key that is under the map lists all of the public water supplies where there have been PFAS detections. And there are 6 that have been above our current drinking water guideline, the 70 parts per trillion for the 5 compounds. And I believe there are 4 that have been above the 20, which is the proposed groundwater cleanup standard that we have now. And then there are 5 that have been below 20. But the real headline, the most important thing, is that all of them that have had detections have taken actions to address the condition. So whether it's to shut off a certain well, to modify usage, or to blend the water so that any water that is available to the public is not above the 20 parts per trillion. And we've spent a lot of time working with water suppliers to achieve this, and I would say that they have also worked very hard 24 hours a day to accomplish that. As I think this group, who's very aware and cognizant of these issues, knows that firefighting foam, AFFF, is appears to be a primary source of this contamination, but we do have one likely manufacturing source that we're looking at as well. I think the only other thing I'll say about this map is that for each municipality we've added a number, which is the number of community water supplies that are in that community. And I think we'll have this posted on our website as of tomorrow, and it's an interesting it's interesting with the data, and I think we've tried to make it more granular so that you can see what are the types of community supplies and where the issues are. In terms of our activities, you're going to hear, as I noted, about a couple of areas in great depth. But as I just alluded to, we continue to support water, communities and water supplies where there have been detections, and that's been a lot of our time. And then we also, with that, if it's not immediately clear what the source of the contamination is, we also spend significant resources in investigating that so that we know about it and can deal with it and address it quickly. We recently sent out 2 communications that are important. One was a letter from the commissioner just last week to all public water suppliers, urging them to undergo voluntary sampling for PFAS. We know that through this process, once we have a standard in place, there will be sampling that is required, but we feel that it is really important and will be very helpful to do sampling sooner than that, because as we've seen from the other places where we've had detections, when there's an issue, we can usually deal with it, but it's really important to know. So the commissioner really wanted to have that letter come from him and to go out statewide. And then the second thing we've done, I believe we may have referred to in our last discussion with this group, is that we've gone back to the water supplies that participated in a voluntary sampling effort that EPA runs called Unregulated Contaminant Monitoring Rule. Thank you. This is the 3rd instance of it, so UCMR 3. That did sampling. It selected public water supplies across the state 3 years ago, and we've asked, at that time people were looking at 70 parts per trillion for 2 of the compounds, PFAS and PFOA, and we've asked those water supplies that participated to go back to the labs that did their sampling and to see if they can glean data at a lower reporting level to see if they have issues, let's say above 20. So that's another communication that we put out. We continue to require sampling of any proposed new public water supply for PFAS. And we continue to require for wastewater residuals, for new applications for that activity. And for renewals, we require sampling for PFAS as well. Lastly, we recently approved six labs under our regulations to be certified for PFAS sampling, and we know that that will be important as our program continues to move forward. I mentioned, asking water suppliers to do sampling statewide, and that they need to have certified labs to support that effort. So that's really important and something that we are focused on. So I believe with that, I'm going to turn the program over to our Assistant Commissioner, Paul Locke. And I should pause and just say, does anybody have any clarifying questions or anything that they want to say at the outset? And Senator, I should give you an opportunity to, if there's anything you wanted to relay to this group.
No, thank you. Just be here to listen. Thank you very much for listening. Appreciate it.
Okay. And also, I want to say thank you to everyone for taking the time to be with us here today. Thank you for the feedback that you've given us between meetings, for the feedback you're going to give us today and going forward. As you know, we're going to have a robust dialogue today. We also have opportunities for people to give us feedback if there's information that you find or a thought that you have after the meeting. We'll show you how to do that. And then, of course, all of this is in advance of a rulemaking process that will be very robust with many opportunities for public comment, which is a perfect segue to you to talk about your rulemaking process, which is right in the throes of all that.